Hello and welcome to the magical world of Disney Lorcana. A brand new, exciting, and adventurous trading card. Okay, I can't do that anymore. Yeah, so apparently, there's a new kid in town for the trading card game scene, and it is quite the heavy hitter. So, yeah, don't expect any Disney secret layers anytime soon or ever. Now, the first set of cards is due out in 2023, known as Disney Lorcana, the first chapter, and that's actually coming out in the fall of 2023, so probably about a year or so from now. That being said, at the D23 convention, they did show off 7 of the cards. And actually, the design of these cards really surprised me for a couple of reasons. Now, will Disney's Lorcana impact Magic the Gathering? Well, I can tell you that Wizards has probably got their eye out for how all of this performs. Many IPs over the years have tried to break into the trading card business with various levels of success. But none have seemed to be able to supplant any of the top 3, being, Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh! That being said, if there is an IP out there that can do it, Disney would probably be a good bet. Obviously, it's a company with a ton of history and a lot of characters, beloved characters by many, to pull from. Oh yeah, and Disney also has an incredible amount of resources to be able to back something like this and to make it work. I mean, in 2021, apparently Walt Disney Company has assets worth $203.61 billion. So Daddy Hasbro might be a little jealous of that being around $11 billion itself. Regardless, now let's jump into the cards that they have previewed and talk about what is so surprising about them. First up, and yeah, I was pretty expected to have a Mickey card at some point, right? There's Mickey Mouse Brave Little Tailor. So let's talk about how this card is actually laid out, because obviously it's slightly different from a Magic card. The name is actually in the middle of the card, on that left side, obviously, versus the Magic card being on top. Then in the top left, we've got apparently what is the cost to bring this card into play, which is 8, which I believe would be quite high. I mean, when we look at the other cards, you can see it in comparison as well. But yeah, not exactly sure how you get resources in this game, but I'm sure that will be revealed at some point. I personally doubt they're going in a lands direction like Magic. They might just be going in like an accumulated resources direction, more like a Hearthstone or something like that, or a completely different direction. Regardless, back to the middle of the card. On the right side, we can see a 5 with, like a pointy things around it, and then a 5 with like a shield-looking thing around it. That would be offense and defense, so this is a 5/5. Moving onto that next line, on the far left side, we have some kind of an icon that we will see again on another card, but I'm guessing that this is more so this is a red card that is this specific kind. It's like kind of like a slashing motion to the right. Now, is this kind of like, how mana symbols identify a certain color in Magic, or is it going to be, different depending on what card it is? Obviously, it's going to take a bit more cards out there to figure this out, but yeah, it could go either way. On top of that, Mickey Mouse Brave Little Tailor is Dreamborn, and not exactly sure what that is. Maybe it's kind of the realm that it comes from. This one comes from the Dreamborn realm or something like that. Not sure exactly, but it is a hero, so we are going to see this kind of dichotomy between heroes and villains, and I'm sure there are going to be, different kind of, maybe what you would call in Magic, tribal decks, like all heroes, all villains, benefits to heroes, benefits to villains, benefits to Dreamborn, etc., etc., etc. Moving down, though, we can see the ability of this card, which is Evasive, which, in parentheses, it says, only characters with Evasive can challenge this character. So in Magic, this would, be something like flying. A flying creature can block another flying creature, but, instead of, like in Magic where we have different kinds of evasion, like, flying or, like shadow, it's going to be a bit more simplified, it seems, where it's all kind of under one form of evasion, which is just evasive. And when they say challenge, I mean, my guess is something like, blocked or be blocked by this character, essentially, though we obviously don't know exactly how combat works for Disney Lorcana. Moving further down, we've got the flavor text of the card, so obviously that is another similarity to Magic. When defeat looms and victory hangs by a thread, a hero bolts to the rescue, patching things up through sheer determination. Good pun there. But then finally on the right side of the card, we've got 4 little icons, and you might have recognized those icons already, from the O essentially in the Lorcana logo. Now, as to what exactly those mean on the card, no idea. There's a lot of theories out there that could be the rarity of the card. I mean, this one has 4 of those, which kind of fills up the entire thing, so this one might be very, very, very rare, or maybe those are utilized for a mechanic in the game. Not sure at this point, though. Now, with this being the first card that we're seeing, actually, I just want to mention that I think the most surprising thing about these cards, to me at least, is that this is a bit more complex than I assumed it would be. And although this card is pretty straightforward, it seems, some of the other cards actually do quite a bit more. So, moving on. Let it go. Let it go. Elsa, Snow Queen, of course, is here as well. And sorry for the singing, but it's probably going to happen again. So, Elsa costs 3. I mean, probably not mana, whatever it's going to be called. But yeah, Elsa costs 3, so quite a bit less than Mickey. She has 2 offense, 3 defense, and this one is purple. Or at least, the card identifier is purple. The logo, on the left side of that, is a kind of swirly purple thing. So Magic fans out there, yes, there is a potential for a, 6 color that is purple, apparently. And yeah, we'll see if Magic follows in the footsteps of Disney in that regard at some point. Nevertheless, Elsa is a Dreamborn hero, queen, sorcerer. So a lot of different, we say creature types or, card types, whatever you want to call it. So, like Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Tailor, we can see that these match up and they are both Dreamborn heroes. But obviously this one has some additional card types on it, a queen and a sorcerer. So obviously these creature types or whatnot are going to be pulling from the characters' backgrounds. Up next, we can see that she has the ability Freeze, which apparently is tap, exert, chosen opposing character. Now we'll get back to that ability right after I finish the rest of the card. Recreated by Magic Link, Elsa found herself in an unfamiliar new world. Fortunately, ice works the same everywhere. And finally, this one has only one of those Lorcana icons on the right. So again, does this, is this an actual mechanic or is that just, the rarity of the card? Is this 1 versus 4? No idea. Now when it comes to the actual ability, again, this is the tap symbol apparently in Lorcana, so you're going to be tapping cards as well. But yeah, when you activate this ability, you exert chosen opposing character. Now, exert is something in Magic, which of course means that, an exerted creature doesn't, untap during its next untap step. So if you exert it, you choose not to untap it. That's going to be something different than this, though, I assume. I'm sure that it's different. In my opinion, it probably just means tap it. It doesn't mean, it doesn't untap or anything like that. It just means tap down an opposing character. So this card, in comparison to the last one, is a lot lower to the ground. Obviously, has less, offense and defense, but it does have an ability that can be useful to tap something down. And also something that I do want to note, with the layout of these cards again, especially with that name, Elsa Snow Queen. I think it's pretty apparent that we're going to be seeing a lot of different versions of these kinds of characters and, different cards based around them. But now let's move on to our first villain that we're going to talk about with Maleficent, Monstrous Dragon. This one costs 9, so that is a lot to get out in comparison to the other cards that we're seeing. Mickey's 8. Obviously, Elsa only had 3. This one 9. Yeah, quite a bit of, again, mana, whatever you call it. I don't know. Lorcana points, or whatever. Anyways, 7 offense, 5 defense. So this is a heavy hitter. And like the Brave Little Tailor, we see that exact same symbol in the middle left. Again, that, kind of slashing to the right motion. So again, the question is, hey, is that just for all red cards? Do all red cards have that exact same symbol? Or are they different symbols based on, what the card is? And at this point, it would indicate that they're the same, but again, there's only like 2 cards, that match that, so we'll have to see when we see more cards. Now, this character is a Storyborn villain dragon, so we see that whereas the previous ones were Dreamborn, this one is Storyborn. So again, what exactly does that mean? I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm sure they can have, some kind of tribal decks that, benefit Storyborn or benefit Dreamborn, etc., etc. And like I mentioned, this one is a villain and that a dragon. So yeah, Dragon Tribal can also now probably be a thing in Disney as well. And speaking of dragons, we have Dragon Fire as the ability, and this one actually is more like an ETB, it seems. When you play this character, you may banish chosen opposing character, or I guess a cast trigger or whatnot. But yeah, essentially, hey, this one comes in and you banish, you don't destroy, you don't, exile, you banish an opposing character. So I guess banish is a more friendly version of a name, instead of like destroy. I don't think Disney would be too happy if you're like, all right, I destroy your Mickey. Mickey's just banished apparently instead. But yeah, flavor text wise, the 9th rule of villainy, when all else fails, turn into a dragon. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. But yeah, on the right side, we see 2 of those Lorcana symbols. So again, if this is, a rarity kind of thing, this one, is obviously more rare than Elsa, but not quite as rare as that brave little tailor. But yeah, a massive heavy hitter that can get rid of an opponent's character when you play it, yeah, that can be a big swing. But obviously at a hefty cost as well, again, with that 9. So next up, we've got Stitch Rockstar, and okay, apologies in advance, I'm doing this.
Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind.
Anyways, Stitch costs 6 Lorcana points, or whatever we call them. A 3/5, again, 3 offense, 5 defense. And on the left side of the screen, you can see a different symbol. Again, this one is an orange card, so does that symbol in the middle of the card, just, go with all the orange cards? Or is that something for specific orange cards? We will have to see. This one, though, is Floodborn. So again, different than Dreamborn, different than Storyborn. This one is Floodborn, and not like, flood like Halo, hopefully, but Floodborn in a different way. But this one is also a hero, like, Mickey and Elsa, and this was an alien, unlike Mickey and Elsa. But at this point, it appears that, musician and guitarist are not apparently character types just yet. Moving on, and actually this card in particular really kind of shows off how I think, again, I had expectations of this card game being much simpler. I mean, this one's still, simple compared to Magic the Gathering, but I definitely expected these cards to be simpler in their nature than they are. Because this one has Shift 4, which means that you may pay 4 star, don't know what that means, to play this on top of one of your Stitch characters. So I assume basically that means, instead of paying the 6, mana value or whatever we're gonna call it of the card, you can just pay 4 instead. So it's kind of like, bestow or mutate more so probably. You can mutate this on top of one of your Stitch characters. So you basically say, okay, my Stitch is a regular Stitch, but now it's a Rockstar Stitch. So you can get like a little cost reduction on that to get it out cheaper. Which again is, more complex than I assumed this game to be. So yeah, I mean, we're going to be seeing probably more and more complex cards come out in the future. That being said, we have the ability Adoring Fans. Whenever you play a character with cost 2 or less, you may exert it to draw a card. So this Stitch seems like a card draw engine, like kind of like a Mentor of the Meek, in Magic terms, basically. But yeah, whenever you play a character with 2 or less cost, you can exert it, again, which I believe to be tap it, to draw a card. And on the right side, we can see 3 of those, Lorcana symbols. So again, Elsa was 1, Maleficent was 2, this is 3, Mickey's 4. I mean, 4 is probably the most we're going to see because you can't really, fit any more in there, but who knows? And again, who knows if that's rarity or, if that's, some kind of mechanic. Regardless, again, I think this one in particular really shows off just kind of how much more complex this game is than at least my initial expectations. But now let's move on to an older Disney character with Robin Hood Unrivaled Archer. This one costs 6 and is a 4/4, again, for offense, for defense. And as you can see, this is a blue card, and, that blue symbol on the left side. We'll see if that, applies to all blue cards. But, yeah, I mean, we only actually have this one as the only blue card. The only duplicate of a color that we've actually already seen is the red ones that we already talked about. Anyways, this one is a Storyborn hero. So again, like Maleficent, this one is Storyborn. But unlike Maleficent, a hero. Though apparently, Archer is not a character type yet, or whatnot, apparently. Regardless, this one has 2 abilities, which are Feed the Poor and Good Shot. Feed the Poor says, when you play this character, if an opponent has more cards in their hand than you, draw a card. Now, really quick, let's stop right there, because this is kind of interesting, because, yeah, I mean, obviously that can be some nice, just card draw, when you play it, but also it does say if an opponent. It does not say if your opponent. which is a big difference because this does not kind of specify then that you're only going to have one opponent. And we don't know exactly, what the, format is going to be for this game, or, if there are going to be multiple formats. But this obviously indicates that there is the potential for multiplayer play. And that's not really all that surprising. Again, if Disney is doing their research, which you assume they are, they obviously know that currently the most popular format in Magic, the biggest out of all the trading card games out there, the biggest format in that game is multiplayer, is Commander. So, yeah, I bet it's pretty highly likely that there is, at some point at least, going to be a multiplayer format in Disney Lorcana as well. Or at the very least, again, they're just leaving it open to that, unlike the original Magic cards where it's like when your opponent or your opponent. Now more so Magic cards specify, each opponent or an opponent. Nevertheless, the other ability is Good Shot. During your turn, this character has Evasive, which means they can challenge characters with Evasive. Now, to me, this actually indicates something interesting, whereas in, Magic, essentially you are attacking the player. With this one, I mean, Disney probably wouldn't be very friendly, with hey, you're attacking your friend with your character. Mickey's coming after you. No, but Robin Hood has the ability to challenge characters with Evasive, which means that you're probably, directly saying, okay, my character challenges your character and is going to, take it out, banish it, whatever, the term is going to be or is. So it's probably not going to be, deciding blockers, really. It's going to be more so, okay, this one challenges that one in combat. So basically, in Magic terms, up to the one who is the attacker to decide, where blocks are, kind of, okay? And again, that's just my speculation and what I'm getting from these cards. Regardless, let's finish the card out. The flavor text, we never rob. We just sort of borrow a bit from those who can afford it. And on the right side, like again with Maleficent, we see that this one has two of those Lorcana symbols. So again, is it rarity? No idea. Moving on. Cruella de Vil, Cruella de Vil. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. Okay, sorry about that, but not really. Anyways, 2 mana or Lorcana points, whatever you want to call it. Cruella de Vil, miserable as usual. A 1/3, that's 1 offense, 3 defense. And this one is a green card. And yeah, again, on the left side, we see the green symbol, or maybe one of the green symbols. Regardless, this Cruella de Vil is a story-born villain. So again, like, Robin Hood, like Maleficent, this one is story-born, and like Maleficent, a villain. And her ability is You'll Be Sorry. When this character is challenged and banished, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. So my understanding would be, hey, okay, if another player basically attacks Cruella with their creature, if they challenge it, and they win that attack, they banish Cruella, their, offense is, greater than her defense or whatnot, then, okay, Cruella might be banished, but you also get some kind of a payback where you basically get to bounce a creature back to its owner's hand. You return the chosen character to that player's hand. So this is either some kind of a disincentive not to attack this, or again, maybe even a way to set a player back, or maybe even a way to actually, take advantage of your own play triggers on other creatures, or whatever we're going to be calling those. Nevertheless, her flavor text is, when she stops by, misery is company. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the flavor text on all these. And yeah, when it comes to the number of Lorcana icons, on the right side, we've got 1. So yeah, the same amount as Elsa. So yeah, while this one isn't obviously a heavy hitter, it does have a decently impactful ability in certain circumstances, I am sure. And yeah, this one only costs 2, so it's pretty low to the ground and probably easy to get out, right? Speaking of which, our final card is none other than Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist, who only costs actually 1. Now this one appears to be a gray card, and you can see that different kind of an icon on the left side as well, but it's got an offense of just 1, a defense of 2, and it is a Dreamborn Villain Pirate Captain. So lots of things, but again, this one, like, Elsa, like Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Tailor, this one is Dreamborn. And this one has Challenger +2, which means when challenging, this character gets +2 offense. Which, I believe, that's pretty much like, like Bushido, essentially. If it's blocked or becomes blocked, essentially, yeah, it gets +2. Well, +2/+0 in this case, but yeah, +2 offense. So obviously there's going to be, some similarities and some overlap to Magic. I mean, obviously Magic has done a ton of things with a ton of different abilities, mechanics and stuff. And yeah, it's basically going to be impossible for Disney to just completely reinvent the wheel. So though, let's read the flavor text. He loves to make light of a foe's predicament. because he's got a light, apparently. Anyways, one Lorcana point on the right, or, whatever we want to call those. So, yeah. A very low-to-the-ground character that just, again, costs only 1 to get out. So, get out right away, probably. And yeah, one that can actually punch up a little bit. Does only have 1 offense, but again, basically, when it is challenging, it is going to, be +2 on that. So, a 3-2, essentially, instead of just a 1-2. Overall, again, really interesting to see how all these cards stack up and compare to each other, and to see all the different kind of variations of these cards and kind of how these abilities are going to really work. And like I mentioned before, more complex than I thought it was going to be. Now, obviously, nowhere near as complex as the vast majority of Magic things out there, but I definitely didn't expect to see, anywhere near that complexity anyways. Overall, though, again, it is going to be really interesting to see how this trading card game comes along. Because this really has got to be the biggest IP ever trying to jump into the trading card game business. Disney is massive. And of course, they have the resources to actually make it work and to make it, have a massive splash. Now, will Lorcana be able to jump into the top 3 eventually? I really am not sure. If there's a company, again, that can do it, it's probably Disney. So we'll see how Disney can shake up the trading card environment. And we'll also see what other cards are revealed along the way. At this point, we've got, 7 cards revealed so far, but we've got, basically a year probably until the actual first set comes out. So I'm sure there's going to be more news, maybe more more details on how things work. And then also, more cards displayed before then. Also, again, we might potentially get more information, on, the format, or, if there are different kinds of formats. Again, is it going to be one-on-one? Is it going to be multiplayer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Is this going to be, all print? Is there going to be an online version of it? I've got no idea, but we shall see. And also just keep in mind, too, Disney has a lot of different, IPs kind of underneath it as well. They also have, Marvel and Star Wars. So, yeah, definitely expect to see some of those, cards or expansions at some point coming out with Lorcana too. Disney has already basically confirmed, I believe, this to be a multi-year project at the very least. So, yeah, they are willing to put in the time and the effort and the resources and the money to make this successful. So yeah, as a Magic fan, just definitely something interesting to see, again, a big player like this one trying to jump into the trading card game environment and to see, how successful one like this can be. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.